This is part 2 of my series discussing the hypothetical Cooler's Revenge arc. Go watch the first part to get all the needed explanations and context out of the way, because we are going to jump right in. Now, in his final form, Cooler begins to casually tear apart the environment just by moving his hands, displaying how he is truly beyond anything Goku has witnessed up to this point. Cooler begins explaining how Frieza probably could have achieved a similar form and beaten Goku by himself, but that Frieza never thought about increasing his power, only about suppressing it. With no other option, Goku begins to charge up a Kamehameha, his body obviously straining to do so under this level of fatigue. Cooler watches unimpressed, but at the last moment, Goku suddenly disappears, reappearing behind Cooler as he fires a very rough version of an instant transmission Kamehameha. Cooler's entire body is enveloped in the attack before his shadow suddenly slips through the beam, the alien popping up in front of Goku and striking him a single time. Goku coughs up blood and instantly drops out of Super Saiyan, Cooler kicking Goku straight into the ground and pinning him. Cooler remarks how it's obvious that something was limiting Goku's power there, but even if he wasn't weakened, Goku would not have stood a chance against how Cooler is now. Right before Cooler's about to finish Goku off, he suddenly pauses and looks up into the sky above him, instantly hit by attack that blows apart the entire area around them. When the dust settles, Goku's body is gone. Cooler stands among the rubble as floating above it all is a smirking Prince Vegeta. Vegeta explains his surprise that Cooler of all people would have been able to defeat Kakarot, though he admits he never expected Cooler to have a transformation or a level of strength like this. Cooler is pleasantly surprised to find the Saiyan Prince here, asking if he's the supposed second Super Saiyan. Vegeta laughs, admitting he's not. He's the third. In a powerful flash of light, Vegeta transforms into Super Saiyan. He didn't get the chance to kill Frieza, but now as a Super Saiyan, killing his brother will be cathartic enough. Before we can see the fight, however, we're suddenly cut back to Kami's lookout. Gohan is still at the lookout as Kami used his telepathy to contact the Z-Fighters in order to save time. Gohan is giving Piccolo a senzu beam, and Namekian immediately jumping up to his feet and looking out into the direction of the battle. He immediately notes that Goku's ki is nearly at 0 and that someone new is fighting Cooler, whose ki is much larger than before. Before cutting to a new scene, we see Piccolo beginning to approach Kami. Vegeta's and Cooler's battle is well underway now, Vegeta nimbly weaving between the trees as Cooler chases after him, opting to tear directly through them and leave a trail of destruction behind himself. After firing a series of ki blasts at Cooler, Vegeta flies up into the air, now high above the forest as both him and Cooler come to a stop. Cooler seems annoyed, asking if Vegeta can stop running away now that they are far enough away from Goku's body so that he can be rescued. Vegeta looks surprised for a moment before grinning. Vegeta explains that he'd much rather like to see Kakarot defeated. It should be done fairly and by his own hand, not by Cooler's, so Kakarot lives this time. Cooler admits he doesn't really care, as after beating Vegeta, he'll just destroy the entire planet anyways. The two rush at each other again, now no longer restricted. We cut again now to Krillin, Yamcha, and Tien as they land on the ground, finding Goku's barely alive body. Krillin notices how ill Goku looks aside from all the battle damage. Tien wonders if it's because fighting Cooler caused the heart virus to activate prematurely. Either way, Yamcha volunteers to get Goku out of there and get him some medicine. Tien and Krillin both decide to stay, watching Vegeta battle Cooler from afar. Cooler and Vegeta are now battling far more fiercely in the air, Vegeta landing some powerful kicks on the Cooler's body that even managed to leave a mark. In fact, it seems like Vegeta has the advantage in the battle, as every time one of Cooler's powerful strikes are thrown out, Vegeta is able to dodge and counterattack. Tien is excited. Vegeta could actually win this. It seems that while Cooler has a bit more power than Vegeta does, his large body is causing him to be slower despite the edge and strength. Krillin, though, is a bit more apprehensive, reminding Tien that he has never had to fight Frieza, and that if Cooler is anything like his brother, he might not be all that he seems. Up above, Vegeta grabs Cooler by his tail and suddenly throws him, sending him into a nearby mountain and reducing it to nearly nothing. Knowing Cooler is alive, he begins to gloat, knowing that Cooler is just as stupid as his brother, and that he probably stood a better chance by beating him in a weaker form that could actually keep up. Calmly, Cooler explains that he isn't the misguided one here. With a sudden burst of speed, Cooler appears behind Vegeta and grabs him by his neck, slamming him down to the ground so hard that it splits apart. The Conqueror begins to brutally beat down on Vegeta, ragdolling him through the environment as the Super Saiyan struggles to break his grip. Cooler ends his onslaught by tossing Vegeta away. Now badly beaten and damaged, Vegeta slowly rises, holding his arm before he puts his hands behind himself as golden energy begins to swirl around. Vegeta curses himself that he hasn't perfected that technique, so he's going to have to opt for the second best thing. Vegeta tries to goad Cooler on, telling him that if he was really suppressing his strength, prove it by taking this attack head on. Cooler seems to accept this, crossing his arms as he waits for Vegeta to attack. With a shout of "Gallic Gun!" Vegeta fires, angling the blast so it doesn't hit the Earth directly. Tien and Krillin barely jump out of the way in time as it cuts through the forest around them. Surely that had to kill Cooler, one of them remarks. However, the moment the attack is finished, Vegeta is suddenly slammed in the back by Cooler's elbow, sending him hurtling towards the Earth. Why would he let an inferior opponent get a hit on him for free? He isn't playing games with the Saiyans. He's here to kill them. We cut back to Kami's lookout, Kami's face growing more and more fearful. Piccolo tells Kami that there is no other option and they need to do this now, even before the android's alive, because there's a very real possibility that the androids are even stronger than this. Kami sighs and admits Piccolo is right. It's time for two of them to merge and become one again. The last thing we see is Piccolo's hand being placed on Kami's chest. Looking down at Vegeta as he struggles to stand, Cooler begins to raise his hand, the beginnings of a supernova forming in his hand. If he's going to take anything slow today, he laughs, it's going to be the destruction of this planet so he can savor it, knowing the last threat to his rule is destroyed in a single attack. But halfway through this attack, Cooler suddenly stops and looks above himself, sensing a massive amount of energy. Was that the other Super Saiyan? No, this felt different. It was Tien, holding his hands in a triangle formation. Before Cooler can question how an Earthling has generated so much power, he's suddenly enveloped in a light that sends him hurtling to the ground. Shin Kikoho. Krillin flies in quickly, grabbing Vegeta and immediately flying him out of there, as repeated blasts from the attack pummel Cooler further and further into the Earth. Cooler is pummeled by several more of these blasts before Tien's life force is sapped, his body slowly falling and collapsing on the ground as Cooler rises out of the hole caused by the attack. A native to this planet was capable of generating that much power? It's good that they will be going extinct then. Cooler begins to raise his hand but is suddenly kicked, sending him hurtling back harder than he ever has before. Instantly, his surprise turns to rage, Cooler roaring to know who struck him. Standing before him is Piccolo, who begins to toss off his weighted clothing. Remember me? This fight won't go the same way it did last time. And once again, we have to end it on a cliffhanger here. I'm having a lot of fun making these, and right now, there should be a poll up in which you guys will help determine where the story goes from here. So if you think Cooler is still stronger, vote for Cooler, or What If Cooler. But if you think that this version of Piccolo should be strong enough to defeat What If Cooler, vote for him. And depending on who wins that poll, it will affect the story going forward in Part 3. I hope to see you then. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to let me know that you guys are enjoying this, and I will see you guys in the next one.